validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Man, we got so many things going on this Monday that so much stuff just happened over the weekend that, I have to try my best to catch and cover as much of it as I can because every time I get ready to set the lineup for the show, guys, I tell you what, so much stuff. I'm like, man, I got to talk about this. I got to talk about that. I got to talk about the other. So, look, make sure that y'all like and subscribe as y'all come here. Special shout out to Danny Stephan. I see you up in there. Red Void from Liberty. Red Void from Twitch with Liberty Twitcher. I see you guys sneaking in here. Make sure that you guys, if you want to make your comments in the show tonight, make sure that you click that link, approve the mic, approve the camera. It brings you in real time. And then we can start talking about what we could be talking about today, which is Donald Trump taking over the U.S. government. By this week, he's walking all over the CIA. So we're going to be talking about that today. We are live 7 nights a week. We typically try to start at around 10 o'clock. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes we start drastically late like we did today. One of the reasons being is because I have to gather all of the information for the show before the show. And a lot of times it takes more time than I thought to coordinate all of this information effectively so that I can present it to you guys in a clear and concise manner. Because none of the information that I provide to the podcast is speculation. It is all facts based off of extensive research. And I have to collaborate that research every 24 hours, specifically because I am live 7 nights a week, 365 days a year, 366 on a leap year. And I do research for 100% of my shows. Therefore, not one comment that I've ever made on the show is misinformed or, in fact, inaccurate. It can be outdated if you're looking at the show long after the show airs, but it is 100% accurate as we are live. So for those hecklers that were on the show last night that had some fun with trying to dismantle factual information and drastically failed, for those of you, if you return tonight, I'm glad that you came back, because you could try to shoot me down today as we talk about what's going on with Donald Trump taking over the CIA. So join me as we try to sneak into the CIA headquarters to see if we can find out what happened over Donald Trump taking them over. Now, look, what if I told you guys that Donald Trump, the 47th president of the United States, allegedly took control and has significant influence over CIA headquarters? It sounds like a plot of a conspiracy thriller, right? Yeah, and we actually do interact with you guys throughout the show. So by all means, if you guys got something that you want to say, you can throw it into the comment section. But you can always dive in live if you like. Name is Jason. Okay, Jason, what's going on? Oh, John. I'm sorry, John. I'm looking at something else over here. How you doing, John? What do you got for me tonight? We're just about to tiptoe into everything that happened this past 10 days, technically, in the U.S. government, because it's going to negatively impact, or not negatively impact, it's going to impact what we do on our day-to-day operations. And mom. Oh, special shout out to John's mom, or no, Yvette. Special shout out to John and mom from Yvette. There we go. So that's how we got that going on. So yeah, you guys throw some shout outs in the comments. I have no problem with that. That's all good. So Miss Moreno, John Moreno, mom, special shout out. How y'all doing? This and that, reaching out to y'all. Apparently y'all got a family friend or loved one that wants to give you guys a special what's up on the podcast tonight. So, I wonder if it's a birthday. Happy birthday if it's a birthday shout out. There we go with that. Moving on. Well, what if I told you guys that this isn't just a speculation, but a concern that has been raised by many experts and officials in the intelligence community over the past 10 days specifically? Today, we're going to dive into this fascinating topic and explore the implications of a political figure having too much power over national security. Oh, look at that. So Omni81 was watching us from Brazil. Now we have Yvette from Brazil. We had Red Void that was coming to us from Romania. Danny that was coming to us from Romania. We had Chad D. I think he was coming from the United States. Light Blue, Reese Martinez. And let's see, Ruderus. I think Ruderus is not in America. If he pops in today, I'll ask him which country he hails from. But special shout out to you guys. We love the fact that we're being seen worldwide. We actually have a larger quantity of, we got like 20% of our fans are coming from Russia. Would you believe that? We also are seen in the Philippines and Vietnam and Switzerland. So we got a lot of other places that are watching and listening. So I'm glad to see that we are all over the world. But we do have about 47% that's watching us from the United States, with the top 5 states, including California still on fire, Texas, Georgia, Philadelphia, Florida, not in that specific order. I think Florida is number 3 in that list as some of the top 5. And I think Pennsylvania bounces in and out as number 6. So we are definitely growing as a small podcast with a little over 21,000 followers. So make sure that you guys like and subscribe. We talk about just about a different topic every day. We do theme primarily towards business, finance, and politics Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, because politics influences business and finance. And then we talk about self-improvement, social interaction, inequalities in relationships and stuff to that effect on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then we have our members only on Sunday that does reaction videos. Well, we don't do reaction videos. We do reactions to comments on our live, where our questions and comments that come across my attention, I tend to respond to those on Sunday. We did that yesterday for about 5 hours. It was crazy because some people came in. Special shout out to Jocelyn from yesterday, Maya. We had Nico from last week. So I want to just make sure that y'all know that I appreciate y'all coming to the show, positive or non-positive. It just being able to sit here and listen and learn from each other, I find that very positive. Keep in mind, we are an open mic, open-minded, open forum podcast, so you can say just about whatever you want as long as you keep it reasonably appropriate, because we do have community guidelines by YouTube that we have to follow. Even though we all believe that we have our First Amendment right to freedom of speech, it is limited freedom of speech, while YouTube will allow us to say certain stuff that don't have to air it. So if comments get a little too out of hand, I have to do something about it. But as you can see, if you were here yesterday, with the few thousand of y'all that came yesterday, that there's I'll allow it as long as it's not too reckless. So back to our main discussion about the political disarray. The mere ideal of a political figure having significant influence over intelligence operations and national security is a concerning thought, even though he is the master in chief is what they call him, which is the highest level of military authority. So technically he is supposed to have that kind of accent, but I don't know, whatever they're talking about. But it raises questions about the integrity and independence of our intelligence agencies, which counterintelligence has become so catastrophic with us these days, because we have to wonder if we're being attacked by ourselves a lot of the times, because in order for you to practice counterintelligence, you have to cause a problem and then fix it. And if you're doing it on your own soil, who's collateral damage with that? You got to ask a lot of questions there. But the potential for political bias to seep into critical decision-making processes is a huge concern. And this especially worries some individuals who consider the gravity of the decisions being made, which can have far-reaching consequences for our country and the world at large. Now, keep in mind, when we start talking about CIA and a Big Brother program, we start thinking about all those surveillance cameras that's on every traffic light. We more pay attention to those surveillance cameras when they're giving us tickets for traffic violations or moving infractions where we thought we cleared that red light before it turned red, but we didn't. But those cameras are running 24/7, so they're recording our every movement. They can see who's in the driver's seat. They can read your license plates. They have surveillance cameras on squad cars now where they're reading license plates as they pass by, which keeps track of your location. So if your car moves multiple times inside of 6 months, each time they scan the car, they scan the license plate in a different location, and they can track the whereabouts of the car, which tracks the whereabouts of the owner of the car, or at least the person in possession of the car. All of these things bring a lot of questions about the police state style environment that we're further sinking into. People in Asia are gotten used to it already. There's a CCTV camera in every corner. Everybody's used to it. I guess that's why they feel so safe to allow their 7-year-old children to walk to school without adult supervision, because there's surveillance cameras everywhere. But here in America, we don't feel right about that. So the CIA in particular is tasked with providing objective and unbiased intelligence to inform our national security decisions, and any hint of political interference could compromise that mission, probably a little bit further than what happened on 9/11. What's going on, Joseph? You were here yesterday, man. Special shout out. This man was speaking the truth yesterday, boy. It was me, him, and was it Carter? We were Carl, I think it was his name, but we were trying to get them to listen. They weren't listening. They were hard-headed yesterday. Today's topic. Okay, so yesterday we were doing just random questions and comments from the fans, and then it just spiraled into a gender inequality thing, because one of the comments from one of the fans yesterday, this lady was talking about how she believes that nobody wants to date her because she's black. She's in her mid-20s in 2025, mid to late 20s in her 2025. She thought that nobody would date her because she was black living in a white neighborhood. And then she moved to a more diverse neighborhood and nobody still wants to date her. I was explaining to the woman that it wasn't because you were black. It was because you had a bad attitude. A lot of black women came up here and started arguing the fact that men hate women in this country and then men ain't worth it and all this other stuff. And that's when you jumped in yesterday. So yeah, I appreciate you being able to give us a lot of defense yesterday, because I mean, they were not making any sense yesterday. And I was wondering, like, what the heck happened? Today, we're actually going to be talking about, because I did tell y'all yesterday that we do talk about business, finance, and how politics influences business and finance Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, because this podcast talks about this, that, and everything in between. So we try to talk about making money, saving money, investing money. We talk about how the changes in the government negatively impacts, or not just negatively impacts, but definitely influences the market, which actually shifts our ability to make and save money, which means that we have to make different moves here and there in order to not be caught up in the sweep of change. So this isn't the type of podcast that's like a red pill podcast that sits there and says, oh, women aren't worth it, or whatever the case may be, or blame women for all the faults in relationships, because that's not true. That's the worst thing for anybody to do, is to blame somebody else for their own individual failure, first person accountability. But when we're talking about just like I explained to those women yesterday, that in order for you to really say that I don't know what I'm talking about, you would actually have to listen to what I have to say and then try to rebut it. And I was saying yesterday about how the value of women comes from their efforts in aiding men in their success. And I've talked to men on a regular basis about what we can do to make ourselves more successful. Today is one of those days where I talk about what we can do to make ourselves successful, but we are actually addressing some of the changes that's happened over the past 10 days, because the U.S. government, Donald Trump, just shut down the Department of Education, locked out all of the congressmen, and just offered everybody a forced resignation opportunity Saturday. And I wanted to cover those things today. So today we're going to be talking about Donald Trump's takeover of the CIA headquarters, as well as the stunt they pulled because what happened was that he put the executive order in January that said that the Department of Education is supposed to be dismantled by February. So February 1st, nobody paid attention to that. I think February 5th, I'm going to go into detail, so I have the exact dates, because I took detailed notes on this. And apparently what happened was they got locked out of their offices. So you guys were fired and you thought you could still come to work, and they didn't let you in. So we're going to be talking about that today, as well as apparently I got wind that Elon Musk was denied information from the Department of Treasury. 2 people got kicked out for that on the 8th, which was a couple days ago. No, on the 5th, I think. Somewhere between the 1st and the 5th, I have that information as well. And after they got kicked out, the justice system put out an injunction, which is a lawsuit on Elon Musk's Dodge company, or Dodge program. And now there's a litigation out, and I'm going to be talking about that today as well, as to what that is supposed to entail, because it's supposed to be in line with the data security that TikTok is being sued for. So all of that stuff is playing into one another. So and then administrative leave. So we've been hearing in the news over the past month or two about a lot of people being either offered or forced into administrative leave. Administrative leave is when your boss suspends you with or without pay, which means you are not allowed to come to work anymore and do your job. Usually, salary employees that get administrative leave apparently love their job so much that they get paid leave to stay at home and not work for an undisclosed period of time. And they are so pissed off that they're forced not to come to work and still get paid to sit their behinds at home, that they have temper tantrums like these congressmen that were out there trying to force their way into the Department of Education after they've gotten a undisclosed quantity of time off with pay. Let some of us hourly workers get told that we ain't got to come to work for 3 to 6 months, and we get to continue to receive our full-time pay with overtime pay. If we were working 60 hours a week, we get our 60 hours a week to sit at home until you decide what you're going to do with this situation, or until I agree to follow your instructions. Bro, if I was a rebel in my company and you suspended me with pay for 6 months, when I came back to work, I would kiss your ass for real, bro. Like, I wouldn't have nothing to say. You gave me a 6-month paid vacation, bro. I ain't got no complaints to the company now. I like, this company is the shiznit now. Nepal, special shout out to Nepal. We have NPX Vlog 10 veering in from Nepal. So we spreading all over the place. So that's why I wanted to get in there and cover those issues today. I do love the transparency and awareness Dodge has brought to the public. And that's exactly why I wanted to talk about that stuff today, because they are a lot of people don't like change. And when change happens, it makes you uncomfortable. So the thing is that I'm probably going to be one of those people that's not going to be like a manga supporter kind of person. Like, I'm going to put on the red hat and just everything he does is right kind of thing. But I am going to rationalize and make it make sense, because it's the stuff that he's doing is beneficial. You don't have to like the guy. You don't have to like how he said he was going to do what he's going to do, but the results of what he's doing actually is becoming more beneficial. Being able to be more transparent with what the U.S. companies are doing, or the U.S. government is doing with the taxpayers' money, makes us understand more effectively how much it costs to run this country, which also makes us understand more effectively why it is necessary to add more taxes across the board. When people hear taxes, they get pissed off. And when people get pissed off about taxes and they don't want to pay it, or they want to evade it and everything like that, even though tax is a voluntary system, the fact is that while we ask for less taxation, we ask for more governmental benefits. The government does not make its own money yet. Donald Trump is making that change, where he's starting to capitalize the utilization of currency in a way where the government makes its own money. If he does, in fact, succeed with that, where the U.S. government can fund itself, any programs and governmental employees and anything like that that is actually being paid for by U.S. tax dollars, all the way down to the police department, would all be funded by the United States government, and the United States government would be paying for itself, not the people. Now, that will take that smart ass comment out of people's mouth when they're talking to law enforcement. Oh, I'm your boss. I pay your salary because I'm a taxpayer. No, you're not his boss. His boss is the commissioner. But public disarray can cause this individual to lose his position in this particular location if enough complaints from the local city that this person works in goes to his superiors, because it is supported by public funds. But a lot like the school district, you can't fire a teacher. You can go to the school board and complain about that teacher. You can have a petition to have that teacher removed, but you personally can't walk in there and snatch the keys from that teacher and say, get out of here. You don't work here no more. So when they change that dynamic and the U.S. government is funding itself, it's a self-funded entity, not necessarily a private entity, but a self-funded entity. You have to understand that military state idea is going to be a lot more dominant, because it is not going to be covered by taxpayer money. So the police can kick your behind. You're not their boss, because they're paid by the government that you don't pay taxes to. Benefits come with authority now. So he is making a lot of changes. Now, the changes that Donald Trump is going to be making coming soon is going to have negative impacts in the forefront to the poor folk. And it may have positive implications in the future for the poor folk. Not necessarily, though. However, there's plenty of opportunities for poor folk to put themselves into the middle and upper class status when they're establishing those LLCs and C corporations under their the ownership of their trust, where they're putting all of their assets through these businesses and running these assets through these trusts, and then getting all the tax write-offs and tax deductions from these businesses. Because as you guys seen across social media, that we are walking businesses that our names is utilized as currency and in social security numbers, as stock options, and all this other stuff. And while you believe that it's true or not, it is true. Everything about us is a business. And if we start acting like businesses and set up businesses and behave like businesses and function like businesses with our social lives, we can stop spending more money than we make, because most businesses find a reasonable profit when you're walking away with at least 30 to 40%, no, at most 30 to 40% expenses. So the average business considers themselves financially successful if they have 30 to 40% expenses, or closer to 20% expenses. And everybody else that is living at 90% of their income is wondering why life sucks. Well, if you start acting like businesses and you have less bills and you have money coming in, and you downsize on the quantity of costs that you have to pay on a day-to-day basis so that you have more money to invest somewhere, then you wouldn't have as many expenses, which means that you can then take the profits from the dividends off of your principal investment and use those profits to start paying for your debt. And then if your debt is being paid for by dividends, the principal coming in from your hourly wage can go into your principal stocks, and your principal stocks can then continue to increase in value, where you can continue to increase in dividend returns. So that's what we were talking about today. And I wanted to talk about how what they're doing with the CIA. These folks is wild, and I'm probably going to put a little bit of a funny spin to it along the way. But I'm going to be sitting here talking about like what all happened with the CIA and everything like that, and exactly when we interpret this situation, exactly what just happened. So I want you guys to understand that what makes matters worse in this situation is the CEI has had a history of being involved in some pretty shady dealings, from covert operations to wiretapping scandals. And when you throw a political figure with a reputation for, shall we say, flexibility with the truth into the mix, it's a recipe for disaster, according to some skeptics. The CIA is supposed to be a neutral. It's supposed to be a neutral entity, a political style entity, which means that it's not supposed to be a left side or a right side. It's not supposed to be a situation where like it's a Republican CIA or anything like that. It's supposed to be like straight across the board, just universal entity. But when politics gets involved, that neutrality is compromised. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Trump's influence over the agency. Furthermore, now, I just want to step before I continue going forward. I just want to say, Trump makes financial decisions. Trump doesn't make political decisions. Everything that Trump does is just business, whether it's racially motivated by people's beliefs or if it is just fiscally responsible. He doesn't make changes. I've watched a lot of the decisions that Donald Trump made before he got into politics, and I'm looking at the decisions that he's been making since January 19th, and he has not made one decision that I have seen that is specifically tied to a political agenda, or specifically tied to a racial agenda, where he's just doing it to kick the other party in the teeth, per se. When he does something, when he claims to do something, I've noticed that it will save money in the long term. It will make money in the long term. It will redirect capital from useless services and apply that capital to more useful services, or it will better organize the distribution of services across the same platform, where those people who were not benefiting from the abuse of the service will now be able to benefit from the proper utilization of the service. But nowhere do I see him doing anything that is specifically, oh, we're going to do this because that's what Republicans want. He does it because that's what he believes, he claims to believe, that is in the best interest of America. Like, for example, Google just officially renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. So the water in between Florida and Texas is called the Gulf of America now. If you Google search that, I'm going to still call it the Gulf of Mexico because that's what I'm used to. Sounds weird to call it the Gulf of America to me because I've been calling it the Gulf of Mexico my whole life. So as long as our freedom of speech is intact, the Gulf of Mexico is still the Gulf of Mexico to me. because unlike other countries where if you go against what the country tells you to do, that you end up in some type of federal prison. Now, back to my furthermore. It's not just about the CIA, it's about the broader implications for our democracy. When a political figure starts meddling in the affairs of our intelligence agency, it creates a power imbalance that undermines the system of checks and balances that's supposed to keep our government accountable. It's a slippery slope and one that we need to be vigilant about. But in the context of Trump's presidency, his relationship with intelligence agencies has been complicated, to say the least. From questioning the intelligence community's assessment of Russia interference in the 2016 elections to firing James Comey as FBI director, Trump's actions have raised eyebrows and sparked concerns about his commitment to national security. And let's not forget the infamous witch hunt tweet, which sparked a firestorm of criticism and raised questions about Trump's grasp on reality. Historically, there have been instances where political figures have influenced intelligence operations, but none as brazen than Trump. So he's pretty much outdone everybody when it comes to every form of presidential behaviors, including presidential scandals. Because, you know, when you think about what Bill Clinton did and got impeached for it, and Donald Trump, I guess the difference is Donald Trump didn't do it in the Oval Office, but he got reelected after he did it, and he paid $135,000, and he's still married to his wife. Just saying. And you can't think of something that another president has done in the past that Donald Trump hasn't trumped them, no pun intended, and gone the extra mile. So think back to the Watergate scandal, where Nixon's administration was caught trying to bug the Democratic National Committee's headquarters. Or how about the Iran-Contra affair, where the Reagan administration secretly sold arms to Iran to fund anti-Sandinista rebels in, Nicaragua. Wow. I said I gathered this information, but I did not review it. That is some deep stuff. These instances are cautionary tales about the dangers of political interference in national security. So Trump's supporters will argue that he's just trying to drain the swamp and that the CIA is part of the deep state working against him. But critics argue that Trump's actions are a thinly veiled attempt to consolidate power and silence dissenting voices, which means that he's going to try to organize everything under his authority, and anybody who doesn't agree with him is going to be fired. I did say before he got elected that if he does get elected, that he will get rid of everybody who does not agree with him. That does not mean that the stuff that he's trying to do is not for a positive cause. It just means that in order for him as a president, in order for any president to be successful with their authority as a president, to do something that is in the best interest of the country, instead of just being recognized as a mere figurehead, that individual would have to have more authority and more control than what past presidents have had. If the 500 and something members of Congress have more authority than the president of the United States, the alleged checks and balances typically puts the country at a deadlock, because you have to have everybody and the president to agree in order for change to be made. But if nobody agrees, you spend the 4 years of the presidency arguing with non-cooperative parties, where presidents are then considered failures as presidents because the Congress stops those presidents from taking the actions that they vowed to take when they were in their campaign trails. And then you say, oh, well, presidents, like other politicians, are corrupt because the things that they say they're going to do, they don't actually do when they get in office. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that they said that with no intention of doing it. It's just that they thought that they had more control when they became president, but when they got to be president, they realized they didn't have as much authority as they thought. Well, Donald Trump's making certain changes that's probably going to change the way presidents run the White House in the future, especially when rumor on the street is that third terms going forward is going to be a thing. So guy gets set up for impeachment, gets convicted of federal class felonies, treasonous alleged crimes, becomes president, and can become president technically a second time, where he could be voted in twice in a row, where he might die in the White House on his third term, because he's almost as old as Joe Biden. And he could definitely do a lot of changes if he runs 8 consecutive years from now, and does not get removed from office over the next 8 years. So that's yet to be seen. We'll see what happens in 8, but we got to vote in 2. So for other stuff. So everybody keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. But whether the truth, whatever the truth may be, one thing is clear: the tension between Trump and the CIA is palpable, and it's a critical moment in our nation's history. Carl, I was just talking to you. I was just talking to Joseph about the nonsense that they did yesterday, bro. We ran that for 5 hours yesterday. That was crazy. My podcast is usually 1 to 2 hours. We ran that for 5 hours yesterday. So it's good to see you back today. Special shout out to Carl. Carl was making sense yesterday. Joseph was making sense yesterday. Jocelyn was making sense yesterday, and Maya was kind of making sense some of the time, but that y'all had so many comments flowing in, bro. I started falling behind in the comments because I wanted to respond to each and every comment you guys made, and then I was like an hour back. But them girls never took the time. There was like 5 or 6 girls in the chat, and they were trying to devalue men throughout the podcast, or at least there were 5 or 6 female profiles. I can't say that they were females because I gave them 3 opportunities. I put the link into the comment section for them to click the link, approve the mic, approve the camera. It brings them onto the show in real time so we could see them as they try to devalue men. They did not have the courage to get onto the show. And I kept giving them the opportunity yesterday to tell us what they bring to the table besides the sex and their career choice and their educational status, because when women that claim that they are 10s value themselves or judge themselves based on their scale of what they expect from a man, but they don't gauge themselves on a scale from 1 to 10 on their value to a man. And I gave the women like 4 hours to tell me, what value do you bring to a man besides sex, your career choice, and your education? And your career choice and your education is not valuable to a man. And while sex is entertaining, it's not valuable to a man. What did he bring to? And none of the women brought any. That not one responded to that question. I thought that was hilarious. Carl says they tried to take you down, but they couldn't. Hey, I felt like Trump in that first political campaign where he was taking shots. He didn't get hit, but he's still talking. I thought that it was funny because one of the girls was started off trying to make it seem like I didn't know what I was talking about because I would stutter over my words. And I'm like, wait, hold on. If I've got a lisp, if I've got a stutter, if I've got slurred speech, I mean, the facts are still the facts. She said that, I can't say I'm inaccurate about my information because, I'm coming from the perspective of a black man. Well, what if I was a white man? What if I wasn't a man? The facts are still the facts. I told y'all yesterday that I also talk about business, finance, and politics. I have a different topic on the show every day of the week. And as I throw this information down, I keep telling y'all that this podcast is not here to pick on women. But when women make mistakes in their social interactions with men, I call it out like it is. And it's not just my personal bias that's making those assumptions. I make these statements specifically because it is statistical fact. And then the women get pissed off. And then when they come in and they start arguing against me, they definitely do not have any rebuttals that actually make sense. And that's one of the reasons why he said, hold on, I'm gonna get to you, April. Special shout out to April for jumping in. He said, your information was 100% right. But Carl, that's why my show is supposed to start at 10, and sometimes it starts late. Like today it started, I think, at like 10:50, because it took me that long to piece together. I think I got an hour and 10 minutes worth of information, about 55 pages worth of information about the CIA, the Department of Education, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the Department of Treasury. Just for today's show, I do research before I come to the show and I start talking. I'm reading off of a script that I generated myself, which is why I wear these prescription glasses, not to look cool, but so that I can read the words, so that I can tell you guys all the information that I got, so that I don't forget anything. And the fact is, when a lady was telling me that I was wrong, I was unknowledgeable, that my opinion is biased, and I'm like, no. If you ask the Google lady, guess where I got my information from? The same place you're going to get your information from. Go ask the Google lady. I did a more thorough search. I got about 30 to 50 sources on my ticket, but you know, you can go find one or two. And I challenged the women. I said, hey, if you don't agree with what I'm saying, outside of your own personal disagreements of what I'm saying, if there are any facts that you can provide to dismantle my facts, then by all means present those. But there are no facts that dismantles my facts, because I'm not going to come here and tell you something that's not factual. Now, once we understand the facts, then we have to understand how we adapt and adjust to those facts, which is why I'm talking about the political disarray that we're dealing with over the past 10 days. Because if we understand how to adapt to the facts, we can improve our interactions with each other, improve our interactions in our society, improve our decision-making skills, and then make more successful decisions for our individual agendas and objectives. Because if you don't know what's going on in the world around you, how can you be successful if failure is being built around you? And if you're allowing failure to be built around you, you're going to be surrounded by failure. Now, if you are surrounded by failure, you're going to fail, and then you're going to blame the people around you for your failure. But it's your first person accountability to prevent from allowing yourself to be surrounded by failure. And that's why I'm talking to you guys right now about today's topics. Now, April, special shout out to April. She says, I'm married and I made him a safe, loving, child-friendly home with emotional stability. So, Carl, it took us 48 hours to get one woman to say something. But keep in mind, Carl, when we were talking about this yesterday, we said the married women were good women. The single women that can't get married were the problem that we were trying to avoid. So here we are, April, on the show, not that long, and was able to talk about the loving, child-friendly home, the emotional stability, and the key that what she said that a man needs, one thing. It wasn't the child-friendly home. It wasn't a safe home. Having an emotionally safe home for a man, that's a key. But just making a safe home wasn't the key that I was looking for, that a man truly looks for out of a woman. She said emotional stability. That's what she said. We needed April yesterday. We needed April yesterday. So you got to understand, when I said, what do you bring to the table? She said emotional stability. I have not heard any female in probably 4 years on any Red Pill podcast ever say that they bring emotional stability to their relationship. They say they cook, they clean, they're cute, sex, they all this other stuff, but they never come to the table and say anything that a man needs. April's the first one. I've been doing this podcast for a year and 4 months. And this is the first woman on my podcast. And I've asked this question since November 2023. This is the first woman on my podcast that has said that she brings something to the table. And she gets it back tenfold. Special shout out to April, y'all. See, this is the kind of conversations that we have on This and That. We talk about this, that, and everything in between. So we're going to bounce back and forth between politics and some other side topics. But I'm definitely going to give y'all this information that I had gathered about what's going on with the CIA, because y'all already know that Jason Bourne was a good movie. The Night Watch is a good movie on Netflix, and all the nonsense that y'all be seeing on Force 48 and all this stuff is the kind of stuff that is happening, because Don't nobody make no movie off of no stuff like, oh, they had this wild imagination. They were smoking a blunt in the back room, eating some shrooms. Let's make this movie about CIA conspiracies. Nah, they got rumors that's going around. They got files that are leaked. And somebody's like, yo, this will make a great action movie. And they make an action movie. And that's what we watch on TV as entertainment. So y'all got to understand, when it happens, a lot of us are desensitized by television, but the political disarray that happens in our countries happen because of the stuff that be going on behind the scenes that we see in the movies and think that's only fake because it's in the movies. But then the stuff really does happen in real life. And we don't even know how to handle it. Like, we've been watching zombie movies for God knows how many generations, and zombie movies turned into COVID-19 and we didn't know how to act. But a biological warfare chemical that was created in a lab that was quote unquote accidentally released into general population and caused a massive pandemic in a short period of time and shut down the world in a short period of time is the premise of every zombie apocalypse movie. And that is exactly what happened with COVID. So now that you know that the real facts put in a fictional storyline is how TV and movies and entertainment is made. Now that you know that, look at the facts of all the movies that y'all watch and then take those facts out of those movies and be like, holy shit, this is the stuff that we deal with on a day-to-day basis across the world. Now, Carl says there's a lot of single women that give bad advice to married women that are having difficulties in their marriages. And that's why those women end up in divorce. No married woman should ever take advice from a single woman because that single woman is going to get that married woman to stay single. They're going to have their fists in the air talking about girl power, and they're going to back each other up. And as they back each other up, they're going to be in a scenario where they're all single. And I asked this one question last night that none of the women wanted to hang around and talk about. But I say, look, when a woman leaves a man, you destroy that man. Women don't get with a man, build a man up, leave the man. He's more successful when she left than what he was when he found her. Women get with a man. He stays on the level that he was at when she found him. And then when she leaves, she takes half of his shit, destroys him, and leaves him with little or nothing left. He's got to start his life over after her. That's every scenario, right? Now, I said that for these little girls out here that's jumping around from dude to dude, we talk about how important body count was for a lot of reasons, because the body count shows the emotional instability of the females, the psychological instability of the females, the number of children that the men's got to deal with, more responsibility that the men's got to deal with. But what I said was that the women didn't want to hear was this issue here. You got a 60 count, you got a 60 body count, 600 count body count, 1,200 body count. There is a 1-to-1 male to female ratio between like 18 and 25. And the closer you get to 40, there's 2 women for every man. The closer you get to 60, there's 3 women for every man. And you destroyed 60, because remember, women leave men 70 to 90% of the time. And out of that, women are the women are the ones that are destroying the man, because the man was sticking it out for the long haul. Okay. And the problem is that she wasn't sticking it out for the long haul. So after all the fights and the bickering and the commotion and everything to that effect, she's gone. And after she's gone, he's got to rebuild his life. This happens if she's got 60 body counts. She's done this to 60 dudes. The dating pool is ironically close to a 1-to-1 ratio. And this is what women have to understand. If you can think about 10, 20, 30 men that you have left, especially when you think about the ones that you say that didn't know how to get over you and couldn't let you go and everything, you psychologically and emotionally destroyed that man when you left. Now, I'm not trying to cause no trouble, but I just want y'all to understand this. If you have destroyed 10 men in your life, and another woman destroyed 60 men in her life, and another woman destroyed 30 men in her life, I just want you guys to step back and think about this for a second real quick. There's a 1-to-1 ratio of men. And the women are not understanding the fact that if you, from the age of y'all, some of y'all starting at 16, but from the legal age of 18 till you decide to settle down at 35, if you destroy between 60 and 100 men along the way before you decide to try to find a man to settle down with, ladies, how many men have not been damaged in some way, shape, or form by female interaction? you want the men to be emotionally intelligent. You want the men to be strong. You want the men to be secure and all this other stuff. But you're not setting yourself up for success in your future, because in your late 30s, when you're ready to settle down, all you have to choose from is all of the men that are tired of being mistreated by the women, because you have to realize that a man has to approach 500 women to get one yes. A woman has to approach 2 men to get one yes. And the women are going to destroy 60 men that they're not satisfied with. And that means that those 60 men have been destroyed by a plethora of women, but have had to go through 500 women for each woman that destroys him. So that means if a man has had 10 successfully started relationships that ended in catastrophic traumatic failure, he would have had to go through a few 100,000 no's, which is 2 dynamics. He's got to deal with a large quantity of rejection. 500 times every yes, he has to deal with a rejection. Then he has to deal with the toxic relationship that results from that. All of this leads to a scenario that women aren't willing to accept and understand, where they are ignoring their responsibilities in this situation. And then they can't find a good man, because the good men don't want to be bothered no more. The not so good men might try it, but they're not going to give you what you're looking for. The bad men are the ones that you hook up with, because they're willing to throw money against the wall to make you do something strange for a piece of change. And then you end up in a toxic relationship. We told women yesterday that y'all have to build a positive environment for yourself in the future by nurturing the men when they're boys, respecting them, appreciating them, validating them when they're younger. Teach them what good women look like, so they know what to look for. So when you decide to retire out of the game, they'll be looking for you. You got to do right by these men, even if they're assholes. You got to do right by these men along the way, because you don't want to leave damaged goods on the shelf. Because if everybody goes into the Walmart and breaks open a box of cereal and walks out the store and nobody buys that box of cereal, eventually you're going to go to the grocery store and there's going to be no fucking cereal on the shelf, because all of the shit's destroyed. Just like the people who riot, they go through and they destroy their cities because they're pissed off at the police, or they destroy instead of destroying a police station, they destroy the city. They burn down their favorite grocery stores, they burn down their favorite barbershops, they burn down all of the things they like about their city. And then after the riot, nothing's available because they fucked up where they all of the best parts of the country. That, ladies, that's what y'all are doing to the dating game. And April says we are in the Truman show. Almost. Even though Carl's right, no marriage is perfect, but you got to understand that if we're not cooperating with one another, we don't have 50-year-long marriages anymore, because the women are cutting and running quick. And according to statistics, the dating game is lasting 1 year, 5 months, and 6 days long. That's the average relationship right now. And in order for you to really get into a committed relationship with somebody that you truly know, we're going to be getting into politics real soon, guys. So y'all don't go nowhere if y'all came for that. But real quick, in order for you to really know that person, like me and Nico was talking about last week, Thursday, in order for you to know that person, you're going to have to be with them for several years, not 2 years. The first 6 months, you're probably just having sex with one another. And the man is asking the woman all of the things that makes her happy so that he can keep her happy, so that he can keep having sex with her. She's not asking him shit. She doesn't care what he likes. She doesn't care what he wants. She doesn't care what he needs. She doesn't ask him shit. Some women will do what they're told, but a lot of women don't want to be told nothing. But they're not asking the man, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite meal? What's your favorite hobby? What do you like to do in life? And what makes you happy? What are you trying to accomplish in your life? Can I help you be more successful? How can I invest in your success? They're not asking that, but they're asking they're demanding that men ask them of that. And then the problem is that so the man knows all the stuff that the woman wants and needs, and he tries his best to achieve that. And sometimes their expectations are unachievable by the man. The women are unsatisfied and they leave because of that. But the women don't know what the man wants. A lot of women, especially the middle-aged women, they only know what satisfied men that they've associated with in the past. And then what they'll do is, instead of asking their current man what he wants out of life, she will do what other men liked in the past. Well, all the other men that I date like this, so my man will like this, so I'm going to give him this, because all men should be the same. But the same way all women are not the same, all men are not the same. No matter how many women a man sleeps with, no matter how many women a man dates, no matter how many women a man has a long-term relationship with, no matter how many times a man gets married, every new girlfriend, every new side chick, every new mistress, he's going to do the exact same thing. What do you like? What do you don't like? What do you need? What can I get for you? What makes you happy? What makes you mad? What makes you sad? What's your favorite whatever? And try to remember all of this stuff so that he can keep each individual woman happy, because no one woman is the same as another. Women don't carry the same mentality, but we was arguing yesterday about that feminist model where they believe that the entitlement is one-sided, where it's supposed to happen this way because they're women, but it's not supposed to be reciprocated to the men. But that's equality. I don't get it. So April says, I won't even take advice from my family. I have never badmouthed my husband to another person. And that's what I was saying yesterday, that women are not supposed to badmouth their husbands. Men are not supposed to badmouth their wives either. But the fact is that if you have a problem with your boyfriend or your husband, you're supposed to talk about that with him one-on-one. Send the kids off to their friend's house to go spend a night, and then have a conversation in the house one-on-one. You don't want to have that conversation with in front of your kids. And you say that it's not in front of your kids, but if you guys start the conversation in the living room, the kids are in the bedroom, your voices start escalating because you start getting emotional. Now your voice is echoing off the wall in the living room, or you're having a conversation in the bedroom and the kids are in the living room and your voices are echoing off the wall in the bedroom. The kids can hear y'all arguing in the other side of the house, so they know that there's problems. They might exactly hear word for word what's going on, and depending on what you say, the kids might get caught up in an argument by accident. Now the kids' feelings hurt because of what y'all said behind closed doors. So you're supposed to send the kids to the grandma's house or grandpa's house or somewhere else and let them do their thing over there while y'all work out y'all personal issues, because y'all are supposed to have a political front where it's two against the world. So y'all are supposed to be in agreement before y'all get into the battle. Y'all are not supposed to battle with each other like a Royal Rumble. And then once y'all eliminate one of y'all, the other one represent the whole team. That's not how it's supposed to go. So we were talking about that yesterday, and that's why. And Carl said it definitely needed you yesterday, April. We really did. And he said another thing Carl says is, and what are those divorced single women teaching these younger kids? They are not teaching the kids what not to do to get divorced, to prevent from getting divorced. One thing I've noticed is that so many women in relationships, we're about to get on this politics topics, y'all. I'm gonna finish these few questions here. We're gonna get on this politics topic. But one of the things that these women do not do is teach other women what not to do to fail in their marriages or fail in their relationships. Yesterday, I was being criticized about the comments that I was making and about the facts that I was delivering yesterday. Any person can tell you what not to do if they've made these mistakes in their past. So they'll ask me, am I married? Am I dating somebody? How many girlfriends do I have? Blah, 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 blah. And that's not going to validate the fact that the information is fact. If I'm married for the second time, if I'm married currently, if I'm dating somebody right now, if I'm single, it does not change the fact that the facts are the facts. I can tell you what not to do to not sabotage yourself in your relationship. And it's advice that's backed by facts. It's not based on my personal experience. It's not based on my own personal interpretation of life. And he says I should write a book. I really should. But the thing is that because they're devaluing my facts by trying to say, if I'm not in a relationship, I don't know how to maintain one, or I don't know how to get into one. Every man can get themselves into a relationship. Every woman can get themselves into a relationship. The problem is, can you keep yourself in that relationship? That's the problem. And in order for you to keep yourself in that relationship, you understand it like this. A person who never fails doesn't know how to succeed. They just do what they know that they've always done that's led to success. When that success starts to become failure, they start freaking out because it's always worked before and they don't know why it's not working now. An individual that has failed repetitively knows how to adapt to failure. They see that things aren't going the way they want it to go. They can anticipate failure. They can start navigating around failure. An individual that knows that this relationship doesn't look well and starts doing constructive criticism, not constructive criticism, but reconstructive collateral damage on a relationship. If a man recognizes that he made a decision that might negatively impact his girlfriend or his wife, he can start trying to fix that situation right away. If a man or if a woman recognizes that she's failing to adhere to the expectations of her boyfriend or her husband, and that's causing him to pull away from her, she sees that she can start rectifying her behavior right away if they so choose to do so. This only comes from learning from past mistakes, which is why I say that you should never get back with your ex, because most times exes do not change. Some people do, but if you guys refuse to change for each other in the first relationship y'all were with, and the relationship got so toxic that y'all broke up, there's no reason for you guys to get back together, because you were determined not to change. You were supposed to take a break, not break from the relationship. You were supposed to take a break where you pause in this conversation, go to your separate corners, get the stress off your plate by like not sleeping with other people, because you're still supposed to maintain a committed relationship. You're supposed to get the stress off your plate, play some video games, hopscotch, whatever you want to do, hang out with your friends, but don't talk bad about your partner. And then once you've detached emotionally from the argument y'all were once having, come back and try to have a conversation about what went wrong in the scenario, where you're not blaming each other for who did what wrong, just this happened and it shouldn't have, and what can we do to make sure that this doesn't happen again, so that neither one of us are inconvenienced in the future. That is how you work on a relationship. But you have to both agree on that. If you don't agree on that, no change will come. If you're refusing to change, that's why y'all break up, because one of you is unsatisfied with the other one, or both of you are unsatisfied with each other, and y'all are not willing to be together. You're not willing to work it out. If there's no negotiation, there's no relationship. Now, you get back together, the problems that y'all had before are just overshadowed by your lust for one another. You miss the sex, you miss the emotional connection, but you're not changing. So the problems that he had with her and the problems that she had with him still exist. It's just not an issue now, because y'all spent enough time dealing with people that's probably worse. And now you figure, well, my ex wasn't as bad as this. Let me give my ex another shot. But your ex never changed and you never changed. That's why your relationship, your second time around, it still sucks, which is why people can say, well, on again, off again relationship. It's only supposed to be an on again. It's supposed to be an on relationship. And once it's off, it stays off. It's not supposed to come back on. You're never supposed to flip that switch again. This isn't like a bathroom light. You're just, once it's off, it's off. Once you're fired, you never go back to that job. You understand? Which I'm about to talk about with the Congress people that got locked out of their offices today. So you have to understand that. So hold on. April said, my grandmother would have me pray not just for God to prepare a husband for me, but for God to prepare me for him. Now, that is a bold statement that I love. Special shout out to April one more time, because truth is that while the women were saying, Maya said yesterday that she's going to respect and obey and cooperate with and support the man that God sent her. And I told her the story about the man that prayed to God to be saved while he was floating on a raft in the ocean, and 3 different ships came by, tried to pick the man up out of the water, and the man never got on none of the boats, and he ended up drowning. And I informed them, I'm like, wait, hold on, because when he got to heaven, he's like, God, what happened? You were supposed to save me. And God said, well, I sent you 3 boats. Why you didn't get on one of them? You know what I'm saying? I used that example, that story, and I told her, I said, look, a man that stops living his life to turn around and come and talk to you would have inherently been a man that was sent by God. If you're not dressing like a slut, if you're not dressing like you're for sale, where a man is coming to you specifically for sex, if you carry yourself with respect and dignity, the same way these politician women are carrying themselves, y'all don't always have to wear dresses and skirts, but it does look modestly appropriate, as opposed to the tight skirts and everything like that, as opposed to like skin tight everything where all of your bare assets are being shown all over the place. Appropriately dressing yourself, you could do pantsuits and stuff to that effect, but you will be looking attractive and successful without looking like you're for sale. And the fact is that if a man looks at you and you look professional, and he walks over and he respects your style, and he might have heard you talk, and he's here because he likes what you said, he likes your knowledge, he likes your intelligence, and in that environment, he then is able to want to get to know you better. He ain't trying to have sex with you in a bathroom stall. He ain't trying to get you drunk and smash you in the backseat of a car. He actually genuinely came over because he wants to get to know you more, because he respects your appearance. He respects your mind. He looks at and appreciates your skill set, and he wants to know more about you. That's the man that was sent from God. Y'all don't like him. He's weird. He's gross. Look at him. He's in a suit. He's dorky. He's not your type. That's the problem that a lot of these young women are having. And I tell y'all that's not that. You can't tell me if you grew up in a religious background where they teach you that the work of the acts of how did they put that phrase? I was telling y'all about it yesterday. It is the work of the Lord is done through the acts of man. That is how it's phrased, which means that if an individual is compelled to do something, that is the work of the Lord. So when I come over and I pay for your bus fare, you thank God because I paid for your bus fare and you didn't have enough money for the bus fare. But if I would not have stopped and paid for your bus fare, you would have got kicked off that bus. So if I was the godsend to bless you with bus fare so that you would be able to make it to work because you didn't have enough money for the bus, that is the same premise that if I was the godsend to give you that good man that would love and care for you, appreciate you, protect you, provide for you, and empower you to be successful with me, not authoritative over me, then you're turning away the man that was sent by God to be there for you, which leaves you with all of the other men that's not worthy. I've told a lot of women on this podcast, we're about to jump back into this politics thing right now. I told a lot of women on this podcast before, and some of them didn't agree with it. Make sure that y'all like and subscribe as y'all hang out here. Some of them don't agree with it, but I say, ladies, your type is the kind of man that you might be sexually attracted to. You might find a quick emotional bond to that person. But if you think to yourself that if you only date your type, you don't feel comfortable with dating your type, and your type always ends up in a bad relationship, a bad breakup, a toxic environment, then your type is toxic, which also means, ladies, once you recognize that your type is toxic, thank you so much, sweetheart. I'm going to see you tomorrow night. We typically air at about 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. That's 11 o'clock Florida time, 7 o'clock California time. Sometimes we're a couple minutes late, but we air every night. We never let the sun rise without us going live. So same time you jumped in tonight, we're going to be here tomorrow night. So I'm going to see you tomorrow if you're on your way to bed. I appreciate you, though. And what I said was that, ladies, y'all have to understand that if your type is toxic and you know this, you mentally wrap your mind around the fact that you are attracted to toxicity, then that means that the person that's approaching you, that is introducing themselves to you, that wants to get to know you, that is not your type, might be the one for you. So instead of rejecting individuals that are advancing themselves to you for the sake of, because that's not your type, give that person a chance. A lot of times we compare American women to the women in the Philippines, and women don't want to hear that. But the women in the Philippines will dedicate 15 to 20 years to trying to grow to love the man that found them, because they might not have been attracted to that man when they met them. But if that man is going to be the man that she needs to give her the type of lifestyle that she wants, she can learn to love him, as opposed to only being attracted to a man that she's attracted to without actually. Oh, I appreciate you, Carl, because we're about to slide back into that political topic real quick. So everybody that's going to be hanging out in a couple minutes is going to be talking about Donald Trump. So I'm going to see you tomorrow night as well, Carl. You stay blessed as well. Thank you. But instead of friend zoning the guy that would be the good match for you, you should give that guy a try, because like the women in the Philippines will dedicate 15 to 20 years to a man that will give her the standard of living that she's looking for to the best of his ability, and she will do everything in her power to aid him in his success. And the fact is that if she can dedicate 10 to 20 years to learning to love this man, then she will have the lifestyle that she wants, and then she has the man that she needs. He has the woman that he wants and needs. They're working together for their success. And I can keep giving you guys pointers, tips, and everything like that about how to invest in yourselves and invest in your relationships and make money for y'all, so that you can retire and spend the later years living a life of Riley with your loved ones, so that you don't have to sit there and suffer. working 9 to 5 and getting put on administrative leave and kicked out of your job, and now you got to find a new job next year and figure out what you're going to do with your life. So these are the things that we were talking about yesterday. Today we're talking about business, finance, and politics. So let's get back in it, because I took that nice little segue, because on This and That we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Now, we were talking about the CIA, and one critical event that exemplifies the tension that is called this infamous memo incident, where Trump allegedly pressured a CIA director, Gina Haspel, to release classified information to discredit the Mueller investigation. And this event sparked a firestorm of criticism, with many accusing Trump of abusing his power and compromising national security. It's a textbook example of the dangers of political interference in intelligence operations, and it raises serious questions about Trump's commitment to national security. So the implication of this incident are far-reaching and profound. It highlights the dangers of a political figure having too much influence over our intelligence agencies, and the potential consequences for our national security. So when political agendas trump national security, we're all at risk. And that's why this topic is so critical. So why we need to be having these conversations is these types of concerns with national security, because once you start thinking about they have the ability to infrared your house and see what you got going on, and wiretap your Alexa and see what you got going on inside your house without a warrant, you start understanding how national security is important. Because you say, oh, they can't do that, that's illegal. It's only illegal until the president has the authority to say and do things that the laws say that you're not supposed to do. Because you have to understand that when we were talking about political corruption, we said that if in the event that anybody who did something that they wasn't supposed to do before the man became president could get an executive order to pardon them of any federal or treasonous accusations. Ergo, what was it? A few hundred people that marched on Washington that were charged in that January 6th March on Washington situation. They were all charged with treasonous charges. They all got pardons from Donald Trump right as soon as he got into office. So anybody that's still in jail from when that happened is pardoned. Anybody who has that charge on their record that's interfering with their career choice or interfering with housing scenarios, they've gotten a pardon. So now those people can move on with their lives, but in a more negative fashion. If you are going to be guaranteed a full immunity for the actions that you're about to perform, the laws don't apply. So when you start thinking about how, if a person in a high enough political position wants something done, if they have the authority to do that with no checks and balances, they have the ability to really overrule law, which almost makes it a dictatorship that we vote for. So Donald Trump's administration has offered buyouts to CIA employees as part of a broader effort to reshape the federal government. And on February 4th, 2025, the CIA announced that it is offering voluntary buyouts to its entire workforce. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, they're calling it a buyout, and this is how rich people talk. Poor people don't look at that like, oh, it's a buyout. This is voluntary forced retirement. That's what they're calling a buyout. They're going to pay you a large quantity of money. And according to the buyout offer, this includes approximately 8 months of salary and benefits for employees who voluntarily resign. Now, keep in mind, if you voluntarily resign in today, this month, or during the time limit of this offer, then you will get this package. If you don't resign now, any type of forced termination that happens later on will not come with this benefits package. That's what people don't understand. This is forced voluntary resignation. Now there's going to be forced early retirement authority. This is going to be an option for those eligible individuals that's been in the field long enough, anybody that's worked in the field more than 20 years who can go into early retirement and end up receiving their retirement pension, where they can just stop working. If they want to do private security or some other shit, they can do that, but they can just stop working and just get paid to stay at home. So we don't want you here anymore, and we will either pay you to stay at home, or you can find yourself another job, but you can't stay here. If you are given this particular type of opportunity, I would recommend that you take it, because whatever happens to you after this offer comes off of the table is going to be catastrophic to forcing you to quit, putting you in dangerous situations that you may not survive, or firing you outright for something else where people make mistakes. And as soon as you get caught up in some other stuff, you end up on the chopping block immediately. Now, this move is a part of a larger effort by Trump administration to downsize and reshape the federal government, including intelligence agencies. It's also part of Trump's initiative to align the CIA workforce with his administration's national security priorities. CIA Director John Ratcliffe is leading this effort to transform the agency. Not all CIA employees may be eligible, particularly those in critical or sensitive roles. Typically, those critical and sensitive roles that have gone against the requests of the Trump administration in the past are going to be those individuals that are going to be selectively handpicked to receive this offer. So it's not just across the board that everybody can quit. It's just certain people that we want to go home and don't come back to work anymore, and we'll pay you to stay home if you will just not rock the boat anymore. Greatly appreciate that. So similar offers have been extended to other intelligence agencies, including the NSA and ODNI. Look at that. Some concerns have been raised about these buyouts because national security experts warn that deep cuts could impact intelligence operations and inform sharing and information sharing with allies. I'm going to be honest with you. If you do a good job of transitioning all of the information you have to whoever's taking over your position, then you're not going to have to worry about too deep of a cut. If you're a handler and you've got some agents in the field, you need to let your agents know that you're being reassigned before your last day at work so that they can talk to a new handler. If you don't do that, then they're just going to be out there on their own. If they don't touch base with you before you get reassigned, then, you know, they're going to have to call night watch to try to get somebody to come home. I don't know. Democratic lawmakers have questioned the legality of these buyout offers, as Congress has not allocated funds for them. Congress doesn't have to allocate funds to your future pay. The fact is that this is how much these people are supposed to get paid. Their benefits are going to continue for 8 months. So all you're really saying is that if you quit, we're either going to keep paying you for the next 8 months and then we're going to cut you off after X, Y, and Z day, or we're going to give you a lump sum payment right now to get out of my face so that we don't talk to you no more for the rest of your life. Now, while Congress is talking trash about how they don't got enough money to pay to fire these people, y'all got to remember Camila was talking about giving a large majority of the black people from slavery $1.3 million. These CIA agents is not making $200,000 a year. So if they're only getting 8 months salary, they're going to get what, $50, $60, $80,000 to quit per person. And it ain't 200,000 Americans. It ain't 2 million, 5 million, 6 million Americans. It's like 100 people. So if you don't have $1 million to fire the CIA employees with 8 months of pay, how the fuck did Kamala Harris think she was going to have $1.3 million to give a few 100 million people $1 million for being black? I'm just trying to say Congress is being difficult. And Congress has to pay for that. We're about to talk about that later. Dozens of employees at the U.S. Department of Education were placed on paid administration leave as well. This action occurred on Friday, February 1st, 2025, as part of the Trump administration's effort to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusive initiatives in the federal government. At least 55 of those employees, including long-serving senior career staff, received notifications about their paid leave status, which means that you're still getting paid, but don't bring your behind to work. The affected employees span various roles and divisions within the department, including civil rights attorneys, press specialists, and program managers. While on leave, these employees will have lost access to their government email accounts and have been instructed not to come into the office. I'm making this clear before I move forward, because the department stated that this leave is not fair disciplinary purposes. This is not fair for disciplinary purposes and is being done pursuant to President Trump's executive order on DEI and guidance from the Office of Personnel Management. On February 7th, 2025, 6 days later, Democratic lawmakers were denied entry in the U.S. Department of Education as part of a broader standoff with the Trump administration over plans to dismantle the agency. So I told you don't come to work on the 1st, and you came to work 6 more days after that. So I told security, lock the door and don't let nobody in, because you getting paid to stay at home. So why are you here? You're not sitting here saying, I got a mouth to feed. I got family. I got this. I got that. I can't stay home. You can stay home. I'm going to pay you. Don't come to work. Why are you here on my doorstep 7 days after I fired you? Because administrative leave is a suspension of services where I don't want you here no more. I'm paying you to stay at home, so if you can't say that it's unfair to you financially because your standard of living is covered. You just not here, and you're gonna force your way onto a job that don't want your ass there. What the hell is wrong with these folks? I know what was it, 300 folks at the Starbucks protesting, the 500 folks at the Amazon protesting. If them companies said, I'm gonna give y'all paid leave, stay at home and don't come to work, they will stay behind at home. They not gonna come to work and pick up no package. They not gonna come to work and pick up no mail. I know folks that quit their job at Walmart and don't even turn in a uniform. Do you think they gonna try to force their way back in and turn in their badge and all? No, fuck this job. Stay my ass at home. I'm getting paid to be at home. I'd be the American dream. I'd be sitting there on a 20-acre piece of property with a rocking chair, the porch swing, sipping some good old-fashioned Southern lemonade, smoking a blunt, not doing nothing. I'm getting paid to sit on my porch. You know how happy I'd be in a traffic stop? Where are you going? I ain't got nowhere to be. I'm being paid to sit in this car. We got all day, officer. You ain't got to go. How's your day, officer? I know. Let's just chill out for a second. I ain't got nothing to do. I ain't got nowhere to be. I'm being paid to chill, seemingly indefinitely. Unlike the CIA, the Department of Education was supposed to be reassigned. So you were supposed to be at your house until they figure out where you're going to work, whether it's in the mail room, in the janitor's closet, wherever they decide to put you after they finish doing what they're doing. You're not supposed to come back to work until they do what they say they're going to do. Now, they didn't got salty and came to work. So this standoff reflects escalating tensions between Congress and the Trump administration over significant structural changes to the federal agencies. Now, Democratic members of Congress, including Rep. Susan Bonamasi, I can't pronounce that correctly, and Rep. Mark Tanko, sounds like a video game, attempted to meet with Acting Secretary Denise Carter. Normal name. Thank you so much, because I'm not good with pronouncing these names. But they were barred from entering the building by armed forces because your ass was fired. They took away your security clearance. They shut off your access to your emails. you can't come and talk to the boss. You're going to have to wait till the boss call you. And if she don't call you, your ass is supposed to stay at home. Now, this marked the fourth federal agency in 1 week to deny entry to Democratic lawmakers, because Democratic lawmakers don't follow the rules. They don't follow instructions. If your boss say you fired, stay your ass at home. Lawmakers sought answers about reports that President Trump was preparing an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education without congressional approval. You can get those answers after you clear out your desk, because they told you in January that in February you will not have a job. In February, you don't have a job. Why 7 days after you was aware of that, because you were notified long before it happened, why are you now wanting answers? When you still had security clearance, you should have been asking for answers. But the answer is, we don't want y'all to do this no more. Therefore, regardless of how much you don't like that, you have to do something else or quit. But if they're paying you to stay at home, why would you fight that or get fired, where you would end up working at the post office for minimum wage instead of making $750,000 or $250,000 to sit at home? Who wants to make $60,000 getting chased by a pit bull when you could be making $250,000 to sit at home? I understand that y'all believe what y'all was doing was important, but when they tell you to go home and we don't want you here no more, no matter how much you love your job, take your ass home. Now, the department has been under scrutiny following administrative leave orders for employees and plans to reduce diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Democrats highlighted the department's role in funding programs for students in poverty, which he said he wasn't doing that no more. Students with disability, he said he wasn't doing that no more. And federal student loans, he clearly said in his campaign trail that he wasn't doing that no more. And more than 70% of the country still voted for him. So 70% of the country didn't want student loans for college students, because if he gets into office, they stop getting loans. With all of the, we got 68% of Americans that get degrees, gets at least a bachelor's degree, if not higher. And y'all voted for a man that's going to stop y'all from getting master's degrees. If y'all didn't want this, y'all shouldn't have voted for him. But the lesser of two evils, at least he's going to try to make a system where the money's going to make money for the country so that they can stop charging y'all taxes, so that y'all don't have to pay taxes every year, and y'all can keep more of your discretionary funds in your pocket instead of giving 33% of your income to the U.S. government, so that 500 people can make bad decisions and have it trickle down to the bottom 99% of Americans. They warned that dismantling the Department of Education could harm millions of students and families. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the bottom 99%. So if y'all not trying to make yourself into the middle 50, I don't know what to tell you. Now, lawmakers accused the Trump administration and Elon Musk with his Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, of undermining oversight and transparency. Now, Rep. Maxwell Frost described the situation as authoritarian, while Rep. Ilhan Omar, I don't know how to put that, that's two I's, Ian Omar warned of broader threats to governance. Now, on February 8th, pay attention to these dates now. Pay attention to these dates. On February 8th, 2025, U.S. District Judge Paul A. Engelmeyer issued a preliminary injunction blocking Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency from accessing sensitive Treasury Department records. This decision came after a lawsuit was filed by 19 Democratic attorneys, generally against the Trump administration. Keep in mind, most of these can't get into their office no more, alleging violations of federal law. The lawsuit claims that Trump administration improperly granted DOGE access to the Treasury Central Payment System, which contains sensitive personal data, including social security numbers and bank account details for millions of Americans. And I want to talk about that for a second. So when all y'all that have filed y'all taxes this year and last year, but this year specifically, y'all know that we have had this trend going over the past 2 or 3 years that we can file our taxes on TurboTax. We can put our bank account on there where we can get direct deposit for our tax returns so that we can get our money faster. They have, I think, Credit Karma that offers this 0% cash advance loan on your government return, so that if you make $4,000 or less, they issue you the money within 30 seconds of your approval, and then the IRS will send their money to Credit Karma whenever they send their money to Credit Karma. Now, all y'all's bank accounts that is attached to y'all tax returns is in that data collection that they're talking about right now. I have told you guys for about 9 months now that y'all can open over 8,000 financial institutions across the United States. I recommend that you have at least one financial institution in every state, so that you have at least, that means you have 50 accounts across credit unions and bank accounts. So whether it's 25 bank accounts and 25 credit unions, 50 accounts across the United States. Why do I recommend that you have 50 accounts across the United States? Because banks on the East Coast do not bank on the West Coast. Banks on the West Coast do not bank in Central America, and banks in the South don't bank in the North. So depending on where you go, you can't walk into, quote unquote, your branch and take care of business for your bank account. You got to fly back to where your bank is or take care of the shit on the phone. Now, with the incentives with the credit cards, where not credit cards, checking accounts, where banks are giving people 5% or 5.5%, depending on the bank right now, for a checking account for values under $500. They're giving you 5% interest, a little over 5% interest. Credit unions are giving you between 7 and 7.25% interest on checking accounts, not savings accounts, not money market accounts, checking accounts, up to $500. Now, why do I talk to you guys about that? It's a twofer. I'm piecing together all the information I've given you guys before. First of all of those checking accounts will give you a large quantity of interest that you guys will be able to make money off of, which will give you guys an emergency fund that you have easily accessible, liquidatable assets that you don't have to worry about over the course of time. Secondly, you have a plethora of bank accounts that you can utilize for any situation, which means, one, you can have a bank account for your online shopping. You can have a bank account attached to your PayPal account. You can have one bank account specifically designed to collect and be billed money from the U.S. government that is not tied to the bank account that pays your bills. That's not tied to the bank account that direct deposits your paycheck. So that if you ever have a financial discrepancy, the money that goes into your bank account from your W-2 job, or the money that goes into your bank account from your 1099 job, or the money that gets deposited into your bank account from your business. Notice I just identified 3 different bank accounts right there, are not tied to the bank account that you spend money in person versus the bank account that you spend money online. That's 6 accounts right there versus the bank account that receives and sends money to the U.S. bank account. That is 7 different bank accounts, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I told y'all that information before. Keep your money separate. That way, if somebody fuck over the U.S. government, they're only going after the bank account they got on file. That bank account stay empty unless the U.S. government puts money in it. They can't defraud that account. Ain't nothing in there. But if your paycheck goes into that bank account, they can take your paycheck, and before the bank puts the money back, you bounce a bunch of checks trying to pay your rent, light, gas, mortgage, car insurance, all this other stuff, where the companies that you defaulted on are going to charge you on their end. The bank might put the money back, but the bank ain't going to pay the company that's going to charge you on their end because you didn't pay the bill correctly. That's why I gave y'all that information before. Ladies, I make it make sense. Fellas, I tell y'all the information that y'all need to be successful and the information that y'all need to overcome the bullshit that is about to arise. Now, that's why we're talking about what's going on today. So, the Attorney General argued that this access violated the Privacy Act of 1974 and other federal laws, rising concerns about cybersecurity risks and potential misuse of data. Elon just want to know what y'all spending y'all money on so that he can change the price of a Cybertruck so he can sell more Cybertrucks. I'm kidding. That's not what's going on. I'm just saying. Truth. He wants to know how much money is coming in from the U.S. citizens so that he can know how much the budget is supposed to be. Because in order for you guys to determine that money is being taken out of the pot, you have to know how much is supposed to be coming in versus how much is going out. You can know how much is being spent, but if you don't know where the money is coming from, you can't tell if all the money is accounted for. You can only tell that all the accounted for money is going somewhere. So him doing what he's doing does make sense, because if he knows how much money is coming in and where it's coming from, then he can tell if somebody's taking a little bit off the top for themselves, giving themselves an extra unauthorized bonus. See what I'm saying? But people are pissed off about that. So the judge barred Dodge from accessing Treasury records containing personal identification information. Any copies of such records already obtained by Dodge was ordered to be destroyed immediately. Critics, including New York Attorney General Letitia James, warned that Dodge's access posed significant lawfully disrupt federal payments like tax refunds and Social Security benefits. How? Because Elon Musk is a billionaire. He ain't trying to steal from you. He's a billionaire. He don't need your money. The 99% of Americans can't put their whole annual salary together and make $1 billion. So what would he benefit from doing that? Either way, cybersecurity experts and lawmakers express alarm over the potential exposure of sensitive data to unauthorized personnel. Now, the Department of Justice filed a motion on February 9th, 2025, the next day, seeking to dissolve or modify the injunction, arguing that it interfered with Treasury operations and Musk's role as a special government employee. This case highlights the significant legal and ethical concerns previously mentioned in the past shows regarding the data privacy that we were talking about with TikTok and other social media platforms, is utilizing people's personal and financial information on their platforms, and the limits of executive authority that we talked about in previous shows in granting access to sensitive governmental systems. Further hearings are scheduled for February 14, 2024, which is 3 days from now, because we just crossed over midnight. We are in Tuesday morning right now. So 3 days from now would be Friday when they're supposed to be talking about this. Prior to the injunction, Musk's Department of Governmental Efficiency, Dodge, had gained access to sensitive Treasury Department systems, including Social Security, Medicaid, and other payments, sparking legal and political concern. Two top security officers at the U.S. Agency for International Development were placed on paid administrative leave by the Trump administration Saturday, February 1st, 7 days before the legal action, after initially denying Elon Musk's Department of Governmental Efficiency team access to classified information due to insufficient security clearance. According to an internal memo from acting USAID Administrator Jason Gray, the employees put on leave retained their full pay and benefits until further notice while the administration reviewed their actions. Administrative leave is a temporary suspension from regular work duties, which apparently the Department of Education wasn't paying attention to, which is why they had to get locked out, and typically initiated by an employer. It can last from a few days to several months, depending on the situation. The officials placed on leave were John Voorhees, a USAID Director of Security, and his deputy, Brian McGill. they initially refused to allow Dodge personnel access to secure areas containing classified materials, citing insufficient security clearance. And Dodge representatives eventually gained access to the classified information on Saturday, February 1st, 2025, despite the initial refusal. I'm not going to say he hacked into the system. I'm just saying that he's a billionaire and he's got access. And if he don't got pulled where he can call the president and say, hey, homeboy, they messing with me over here. He like, get rid of him. He can always just push a couple buttons on his Tesla and his Tesla can talk to that AI that's mixing drinks at the bar, and that AI go over there and go and type into the system and open a door, and now they in. I'm just saying, there's ways around the rent-a-cop telling you no. You just got to talk to their boss. Now, the classified information included intelligence reports and personal files. This incident has raised concerns about the legality and appropriateness of Dodge accessing sensitive government information. The idea of Donald Trump taking control or influencing CIA headquarters is a concerning thought that raises serious questions about the integrity of the national security and the implications of political interference in intelligence operations that are far-reaching and more profound, and it is a topic that we need to be vigilant about. Donald Trump's approach to taking control of the U.S. government during his second term has involved a combination of executive actions, regulatory changes, and structural shifts aimed at consolidating power and reshaping federal institutions. The administration has taken steps to dismantle or significantly reduce the scope of certain agencies, such as the Department of Education, through executive orders and workforce reductions. Buyouts and administrative leave have been used to remove federal employees, particularly those involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and those security guards that are getting in Donald Trump's way. And many of these actions have faced immediate legal challenges from Democratic lawmakers, state attorney generals, and advocacy groups. Courts have issued injunctions against several measures, including attempts to access the sensitive Treasury records through Musk's Department of Governmental Efficiencies, and Trump's approach reflects a broader strategy to centralize executive power while weakening institutionalized checks and balances, often leading to significant legal battles over the scope of presidential authority. Now, if you guys was able to hang out for me this long, I want to thank you guys for watching the show. If you guys have any opinions on the changes in government, make sure that you leave comments, and don't forget to share your thoughts on any other topics in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out our some of the shows we've got later this week, where one of the shows I think we're going to try to set up for next week is going to be the governmental influence in intelligence operations. Tomorrow, we're going to be dealing with how we're going to be investing, and we're going to be spending. I'm probably going to be talking about certain other countries that we can invest in and make more assets in, because I know that I want to at least once a week, a few times a month, to be able to inform you guys about offshore investments, offshore businesses, offshore banking, and digital nomad opportunities. Because think about this, y'all, outside of the working class industry switching over to AI, you see right now that even in the highest levels of government, that your boss can fire your ass for whatever the fuck they want. They can pay you for the rest of your life to stay at home, or they can just cut you a check and then you got to find you another job by the end of the year. Either way, if you don't start making money, make money for yourself, you're always going to be at the mercy of somebody else. So here on This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between, we talk about a lot of things all over the place, but we talk about the things that matter. We talk about the things that are important, and we talk about the things that will directly impact you, me, and most of the people around the world. We also don't just sit here and bitch about the shit that's going on around the world. We talk about ways that we can proactively make changes in our own personal lives that will directly improve our own personal outcomes towards the success of our own personal agendas, that allows us to live a better life instead of forever staying poor, forever working too hard, forever being too tired, forever being sick and tired of being sick and tired and never having enough dollars to make ends meet, where the term make ends meet has to even be in our vocabulary. I try to help us find ways to not have to live like that for another generation. If you are not second generational wealth, I'm going to try my best to work with you guys throughout the year to find ways to help you guys start becoming first generation generational wealth, where not only are you going to be able to retire out of the game and be able to live off of the investments that you do, you are not going to be working for the rest of your life where your retirement is going to be Social Security, disability, and being a greeter at Walmart 40 hours a week to make ends meet so that people can curse you out because they don't want you to check their receipts. If you can work from your computer, if you can work from your house where you can make money for you, even if you have not made it to that millionaire status where you don't have to work at all, if you can find a way to take your skill set, take your connections and your resources and build you the type of business that you can get paid off of your laptop. All you need is 2 laptops, one to primarily do the job and one to back you up if the first laptop shuts down so that you never miss out on your operations, and internet access. Well, 3 things, because you're going to need functioning power if you don't have a solar system that's providing you more power than the requirements for your internet and your laptop. But if that's all you need to make money on a regular basis, you can pack up your portable solar panels, your battery packs, your portable Wi-Fi, your laptop, hop a plane and go anywhere in the world and make money while you work from your computer, which also means that you can love your United States country, stay a patriot, and be living in Belize, be living in Brazil, be living in Romania, be living in Switzerland. You can literally travel Asia, because once you fly to Asia with a U.S. passport, you get free flights throughout Asia with those passports. As long as you're a U.S. citizen, you got a U.S. passport, you fly to Asia from America, you don't have to pay for additional airplane tickets across Asia. So it might cost you $2,000 to get there, but it costs you nothing to travel all of the countries that are over there. I'm just saying. And then the $2,000 to come back, you'd be like, shoo, I caught 42 planes while I was in Asia, but I only paid $2,000 to get there and $2,000 to get back now. That's what I'm telling y'all. That you can have you a better life. You can find a way where if you don't like the way you're being treated in this country, what did Donald Trump tell y'all? You can stay, you can go, you can come back if you want to, but you can go if you don't like it here. So I tell you guys on a regular basis, instead of just being an anti-nationalist and complaining about how your government sucks and complaining about how the man is keeping you down, or complaining about how you're socially oppressed by a specific group or anything like that, just change your environment. Change the way you make money so that you can change your environment and then go somewhere where you feel like you're more respected, more appreciated, more valued, and at the very least, at least living within your means. If you're making $3,000 a month and it's too expensive to do that in America, you can go to several, because we had somebody tell us last week, Cambodia, you can live in Cambodia for under $12,000 a year. You can live in Japan for under $9,000 a year. You can live in the Philippines for under $12,000 a year. And that's like an upper middle class lifestyle over there. That's flushable toilets, taxis, all this transportation, all this other stuff that you can do in another country where you don't have to struggle. You're not sitting over here like eating ramen noodles out of a microwave or boiling water over a wooden fire and trying. You literally can live like an American in another country for $12,000 a year. And if you're making a $3,000 a year income right now, or a $4,000 a year income right now here in America, all it takes is for you to make you an extra $3,000, because you're going to need $2,000 for the plane ticket. You're going to need $500 for the passport if you don't already have a pet. Technically, it's like $200, $150, $250. But if you have $500, because they might make you pay for some extra stuff, you might have to pay for some extra vaccines or some other stupid shit. But basically, You get that $2,500 together, and then the other $500 that I'm talking about, this is provisionary capital that you're going to be spending either on the way to the airport, on the plane, when you get off the plane, before you get to the hotel, and then any of the cash that you have on hand while you're out there. So once you get out there, you open up a bank account and just wire transfer yourself some money from America, and you would be good. And if you're smart about this, and instead of having your foreign bank take the cash from your American bank where it'll get flagged, instead you do an ACH transfer where you are sending the money from your personal account to your other personal account, and they're not even going to charge you a fee for that, because they charge you for wire transfers, but they don't charge you for ACH transactions. So if you're doing a bill pay ACH transaction to your personal bank account in Tibet, you send money to Tibet, you live in Tibet. You get all your money deposited in an American bank account, send it to Tibet. But there's a lot of countries I've been talking to you guys about where they do not tax you on money earned outside of their country, even if it is stored in their banks in their country. There are other countries that have incentives where they do not tax foreign nationals if they invest in local stock with foreign money, where you can get your money from America, invest it in local stocks, and then get dividends from the money that you invested in. And those dividends are non-taxed by that country because you're a foreign national with foreign income. So you would be living off the interest of your principal, and the principal is coming from U.S. dividends, where in most countries, it's like a 1 to 1,000 ratio between a U.S. dollar and a non-U.S. dollar. I'm just trying to tell. And then they got a lot of countries that we've already talked about where the GDP is like 50% interest returned on your investment, 48% interest returned on your investment. I'm trying to tell y'all, like, there's places that we could go places, we can do stuff, we can swing things. All y'all got to do is like and subscribe and come see what we got going on every night of the week. Because there's so much stuff happening. So at least once a week, I want to tell y'all how Donald Trump is tearing this country down from the governmental standard and rebuilding it in what he believes is a more ideal image of a U.S. government, financially speaking, from a business standpoint, because capitalism is a business and the U.S. government is a business. So at least once a week, we're going to be talking about that. But the other 2 days out of the week that we talk about business and finance, we're going to be talking about other places and other things that we can do to put money in our pockets. And we're also going to put some time into talking about different social atmospheres where we can find better people that we mesh with so that we can get involved with a larger community of individuals that are like-minded. And again, here, while we have our open-minded, open forum podcast, you know, I special shout out again to April, Carl, and Jason, who came on today and provided us a lot of insight on yesterday's topic. We talk about everything under the sun. So if you come to the podcast and we're talking about one specific topic and you guys want to start up a second side topic, by all means, I'll entertain your topic. I'll juggle 2 or 3 topics at the same time. And as long as I don't have a contract following this show, as long as you guys have conversations that you want to provide to me, I'll keep the show going. We usually run a 1 to 2 hour podcast, like we're wrapping it up tonight. But yesterday we ran it 5 hours, because if you guys are going to keep talking, we're going to keep talking. I'm not going to cut it short for you. If I don't have nothing else going on, we're going to keep the party going. So make sure that you guys like and subscribe. If you've come to the show, you can watch it from the beginning. I want you guys to remember we have a live band from Switzerland. It's from alanito.music, where they had made the exclusive This and That soundtrack. So y'all can get that soundtrack from YouTube, or if you want to download it onto your phones, we have links in the description where y'all can go and get it from. Y'all can go and get it from Amazon Prime. For most of y'all that got Amazon Prime, and then y'all can enjoy the song. So I encourage you guys to hang out after the show, because we're about to step out. I want you guys to make sure that you listen to Higher Ground. Let us know what you think about it. And then we will talk to you guys tomorrow night. So before I walk out, I want to let you ladies know that as long as the situation doesn't make sense, ladies, I'm going to keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And as we got about 70% of the podcast is men right now, because women are starting to dive in. As we see, we have some brilliant women like April and Maya and Nikki that was here before that came in, and they have lots of intelligent things to say. We have a larger quantity of women starting to come to the podcast. So special shout out to those ladies, because like I said, not all women are bad. We got a lot of brilliant women that are coming to the podcast right now with a lot of smart, intelligent things that they have to say. But we got a lot of women that just don't want to admit that there's problems. So we're going to have that tuffle on the podcast. So I appreciate you fellas for coming to the show, listening, learning, and commenting. I appreciate you guys for providing support in the comment section. When you see that it don't make sense in the comment section and you guys provide that intellectual rebuttal, I really appreciate that as well. I'm going to special shout out one more time to Red Void, I'm the 81. Special shout out to Brazil, Romania. Special shout out to Russia, Vietnam, Philippines. And I also want to give a special shout out to Mr. Pibbs, and I think her name was Courtney. So Max Opposer and Reese Martinez and Joe specifically. And also something that I just thought about. You guys can always show us some love on the podcast. Y'all can always throw us something, give us a little donation if y'all like what we got going on, the information that we're providing to you, whether you learn from it or it empowers you to do something different with your life. You can always give us a special thanks, special comment, special emoji, throw some stuff down and support the podcast, because apparently podcasts ain't free. We got bills to pay to go on live every day. I don't do this for fun. I do this because you guys deserve the knowledge, and it is definitely a business. So always note that you guys can always show us some love here and there to support the channel so that we can give you guys better quality service. And remember, I really appreciate you guys coming to This and That. My name is Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. One more shout out to Twitter and Twitch, because TikTok is still on the fence. Thank you guys for coming to the show. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night around 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is 11 o'clock Eastern Time, or 11 o'clock East Coast Time, and 7 o'clock California time. And I will tell you as soon as I find out that California stops burning to the ground. There is still some fire somewhere on the south side of California, south side of Los Angeles. So I will tell you guys when the fire is done. Thank you guys again for coming to This and That. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.